What's going on, guys? Welcome to another second stimulus check update. Hopefully you're having a wonderful weekend and you will continue to have a great day. We have really good news this morning, and it's coming directly from President Trump himself. I'm going to bring that to you in just a second, because for weeks, many people have been wondering if President Trump would even entertain the idea of signing and agreeing to a stimulus package if he's not going to be reelected. Well, I think we have an answer today, and it comes directly from President Trump himself. And it looks like this answer, and I want to explain what this means, okay? What President Trump just said is huge. It is huge. It was just a little tweet, but this is huge for stimulus and the American people, because over the next 7 days, over the next 5 to 7 days, I personally believe, after reading probably close to 20 different articles just this morning, watching multiple videos, interviews, I think we are getting very close to seeing some type of stimulus deal. First, in order to understand how this is going to affect all of us and stimulus negotiations, we need to understand everything that has been said recently. So let's start with President Trump's tweet from this morning. President Trump tweeted, "Congress must now do a COVID relief bill. Needs Democrats' support, make it big and focused, get it done." This was his tweet. This was his tweet from earlier this morning on Saturday, November 14th. Now, what he is ultimately saying is that with surging cases, and this is what I believe, okay, again, based on reading multiple articles, watching a bunch of different videos, this is what I believe the experts are also kind of agreeing with, is that with surging COVID cases and the colder months upon us, we can no longer wait. President Trump wants to make the stimulus package bigger. However, he doesn't specify bigger than what. What experts are currently predicting is he just wants it bigger than $500 billion that Mitch McConnell most likely was going to go forward with this coming week. He also wants to make it focused on COVID-related issues and make it targeted on specific things, not just throwing money out there and hoping it sticks in the best places possible. Let's give it to the right people. Let's give it to the right organizations, the right businesses. Let's give it to the right types of people so that they can spend the money, they can turn the economy around, they can pay their own bills, and they can help prop up the United States once again. Bring us back to pre-pandemic levels. He states, just get it done. And this statement, get it done, is pretty much what Trump has said multiple times. If you get it done, I will sign. So, I'm just reading it between the lines, looking into this. When he says get it done, to me that means, okay, if you get it done, I, President Trump, will sign the bill. Just get it done, get it passed through the House, get it passed through the Senate, and I will sign it. This is very good news. As just last week we heard from President Trump's economic advisor, Stephen Moore. Stephen Moore said he did not believe President Trump wanted his last act as president to be signing off on a $2 trillion debt spending bill that ultimately would just help Joe Biden's administration. He wants Joe Biden to own that. However, it seems like President Trump is now changing his tune and would entertain the idea of another stimulus package as long as it's targeted. As long as it's targeted. Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion stimulus package is somewhat targeted, but it targets everybody. So it's kind of just a blanket approach. What President Trump wants and what Republicans want is a more targeted approach to specific individuals, specific businesses, okay? Maybe some states, but allowing the right states to use the funding that they see fit for getting back on track. I'll explain that in just a minute. Also, again, and this is really good news. This is good news that President Trump is not taking the advice of his economic advisor, Stephen Moore, and kind of going in his own direction. Because also the other day, Senator Marco Rubio from Florida stated that the Senate will vote on a new stimulus bill this coming week. He didn't say exactly what the bill was. He didn't say how much it was going to be, but current reports are saying it will be the HEALS Act. I stated this the other day, that I do not believe it was going to be a $500 billion stimulus package. I believed it was going to have something to do with the HEALS Act and maybe a little bit to do with the $500 billion package and somewhere in between. Current reports are saying it will be very similar to the HEALS Act, if not identical, or it's going to have a few modifications because the HEALS Act was passed in like September. Okay? So being the HEALS Act was passed in September, maybe it was August. Maybe the HEALS Act was passed in August. Maybe I'm getting the HEALS Act and the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. I'm getting these mixed up. The HEALS Act was actually passed proposed in August. It wasn't passed. Proposed in August. And the HEALS Act, okay, from August, we have September, October, we are now in November. 3 months late. 3 months later, the HEALS Act will need some modifications to bring it up to date based on what's currently happening. So, the HEALS Act is a larger stimulus package than the $500 billion package Mitch McConnell keeps on trying to propose. Many people don't like that. Many people don't like the $500 billion stimulus package because it doesn't include much for the American people. It provides money for businesses. That's great. That's about it. There's other stuff in there as well, but that's about it. That's the main thing that's really helping. This bill, the HEALS Act, is also very targeted. The main thing it's going to do is provide PPP funding for businesses, which Marco Rubio stated was a priority. Trump stated in his tweet that this bill needs Democrat support to pass. Here's the reason why. He is not speaking to the House here. He is speaking to Democrats in the Senate, saying, we need your support. What happens in the House, Nancy Pelosi is pretty much going to have that under control. Whether it passes, it even sees the floor, who knows. But President Trump is asking for Democrat support to see this bill pass. Here's the reason why. Republicans currently only have 53 members in the Senate. They need 60 votes in order to pass a bill through the Senate. This means Republicans need at least 7 Democrats to support the bill, or else the bill will die again in the Senate. And that's not what we want to see, especially not right now. Americans need money. I'm going to get into what is in this bill in just a second. But right now, I am very optimistic that something will ultimately happen. However, I am still trying to read between the lines and figure out if there are still political games being played. And here's the reason why. One way for Republicans to try and win over the Senate in January, because we still do not know who's going to control the Senate this next year. We don't know. Because we need to wait until the Georgia runoff election for the Senate. There's 2 seats open, 2 seats, that could swing. Republicans need at least 1 to control the Senate. If both of those Georgia runoff elections go to Democrats, Democrats control the Senate. And they sweep. They will have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So, one way to make Democrats look bad is for President Trump to say, we need your support, help support, get your support on this bill. The Senate and Mitch McConnell are going to put this bill on the floor to a vote. And if it doesn't get the support from Democrats, then Republicans can say, well, Democrats didn't want to give stimulus to the American people once again. So I'm trying to figure out if that's the play here. Honestly, this could be the play. Senators have been saying, Republicans have been saying, we could use President Trump and his following. He has a massive following in Georgia. We could use his following to help us win the Senate. However, I don't think this is the play yet. Okay, I just wanted to break that down so you understand both. There's 2 sides here. I do think there are going to be political games played, but right now this is November 14th. We still have almost 2 months until that Senate runoff election in Georgia. So honestly, I believe right now in November, the upside really isn't there yet, because people are going to forget what happened come January. But if this were to take place in December and then President Trump were to do it, then yes, this could look like a political stunt. But I don't think this is the case right now because it's too soon. And it's because of this that I do believe that Republicans and President Trump want another stimulus package now before things get out of hand and make it very difficult to turn around. Also, one report that I read this morning is stating that Republicans want something done now because if something is not done now and things progressively get worse, then the likelihood of trying to pass a small stimulus package would be pretty much impossible. They would most likely need to pass something over $2 trillion if things progressively get worse, instead of trying to do a little bit here and there and slow down the spread, and bring things somewhat back to normalcy. So, we will see. But this is what we could see in the HEALS Act. This is what we know is in the HEALS Act. It's $1,200 stimulus checks to filers, $1,200 stimulus checks to their spouses as well, and $500 stimulus checks to all dependents. Not just 17 and under, all dependents. Whether you have an income or not, all dependents. Adult dependents are included. This would mean that your stimulus check could not be garnished. However, states could redirect the stimulus checks to somebody that, to a spouse or whatever, if you owe back child support. So, that is the bad news there. The HEALS Act also includes $200 a week for federal unemployment benefits. I believe this is going to be for about 8 weeks. In the HEALS Act, it states that this would run till the end of September, and then it would go into up to $500 per week for a set amount of weeks, but that was based on a 70% wage replacement. I don't think they're going to go with that this time. I think it's going to be probably $200 to $300 per week in federal unemployment benefits, most likely for 8 weeks, so about 2 months. Also, $190 billion for PPP funding. I think this amount is going to go up. There will be employee retention tax credits, a work opportunity tax credit as well, 100% tax deductions for business meals. I know a lot of people say, well, 100% tax deduction for business meals, that's just going to benefit the rich. And it honestly does. Because the poorer parts of the country, the poorer people in the country, they're not going to go out and spend, $20 on a meal when they don't have $20 to spend. They're going to go buy some beans and rice and Top Ramen and live off that for the next few weeks or a month. So 100% tax deduction for business meals. I guess that's good if you have money, you're wealthy. But if you have no money, it's not going to do you any good. $105 billion for schools. I believe this amount is going to go up as well. They also want to modify spending for state and local governments for CARES Act funding, which is essentially saying that we're going to give you an additional 90 days past December 31st, 2020, so that you can spend any additional funds from the CARES Act. Because what's happening right now is if you do not spend the funds according to the way the CARES Act was written, then the money is pretty much gone. You cannot use it. It has to be spent by December 31st. So that's what a lot of states are doing. For example, Colorado. They're spending money to send $375 stimulus checks to their residents. That's great. Virginia, they're doing a lot of hazard pay. So that's great if you live in Virginia or Colorado. But if you live in other states, it doesn't do you any good. So this is also another way of saying we do not want to give any additional funds to state and local governments. I have a feeling this is going to change, that the HEALS Act could be a starting point, but if they can start negotiations from the HEALS Act as opposed to a $500 billion stimulus package, I think Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi would be so much closer. Ultimately, experts believe about a $1.4 trillion stimulus package is what is going to pass. So we will see there, and then also liability protections. This bill is seen as very targeted and would be a good start to help get stimulus moving in the right direction. Multiple experts believe that the HEALS Act would not be the final bill passed. It's not good enough. It doesn't cover enough things. It would not provide the economy and the American people with enough funding and relief to really push us forward for the next 5-6 months, possibly even a year. This is being seen as a vehicle to bridge the gap between now, in order to get the United States from today until or maybe late winter, early spring, That's what the HEALS Act is being looked at as just a bridge to, kind of span that gap and get us into the next, into spring, or possibly into whenever Joe Biden takes office, right? That's what it's being looked at. That being said, the HEALS Act, if it were to pass and be signed by President Trump, then expect another stimulus package to start being negotiated on for when Joe Biden does take office. Again, I'm not saying Joe Biden is going to take office. I'm not saying Trump's legal battles are going to help. I'm just saying what we know now is Joe Biden is projected to win. There's a reason I don't call him president-elect. I call him Joe Biden because he's Joe Biden. President-elect will be when all votes have been certified. We aren't there yet. We're still a few weeks away. When the votes are certified and we do know we have a president-elect, I will call him President-elect Joe Biden. Until then, we have President Trump and we have Joe Biden. Right now, the tweet from President Trump is being seen as a positive sign for stimulus negotiations. Again, I'm just trying to give you the facts, not taking sides. I don't care. I don't care about the political stuff that's happening right now. I just want to provide you stimulus updates, because right now this is a business and finance channel. I do not want to get into politics. Okay? So, what I can tell you right now is that without Trump, stimulus cannot and will not happen until January 21st. That's the earliest it can happen. So without President Trump's signature, no stimulus would happen. So, as always, this is welcoming news. Having President Trump talking, being back in the public's eye is important. I think it is critical at this time. So, as always, as I know more, I will continue to share more. I just want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.